I went to the University of Illinois, which in those days was housed in Navy Pier. Hardly anybody knows that. And I started college in 1952. Why did I go to law school? I'm still not sure. My dad, who was a probate lawyer, he never pushed me to go to law school, but I guess I thought that's where I belonged. And so I did it. And I've never regretted it. I think first of all, it's a fabulous education. It's really, really interesting. And I was the second lawyer in our family. My dad was the first. When we started out, there were four of us. We had all graduated from DePaul Law School at the same time, January of 1958. They were myself, Nate Swerdlove, Mickey Gitlitz, and Ralph Stavens. When we started out in a neighborhood office in what we called Wicker Park, at that time it was on Milwaukee, Damon, and North Avenue, we did everything because we had a storefront. People walked in, we did personal injury work, we did small criminal cases, we did bankruptcies, collections. We represented people who were being sued for one reason or another. And of course, being brand new and having just come out of law school, we would take anything and everything that walked in the door. The offices, each of them had a great big desk. And the desk was big enough for two lawyers, one on one side of the desk, one on the other. And that's how we started. Catered to people in the neighborhood. And, you know, as I said, we took in everything. I still remember the very first case we had, and we won the case, and that was the beginning of everything. We were starting to take in some decent money, a couple of hundred here, a couple of hundred there, and we started a practice downtown. We really thought we were big shots. We were doing a lot of insurance work. We were doing a lot of personal injury work. We were doing divorce work, still doing some bankruptcies. I think we were out of the criminal business at that time, and that really was the beginning of the Beermann firm. I started doing appellate work, and I was doing appeals in the first appellate district. I did appeals in the second appellate district in Elgin. I argued a lot of cases in the Illinois Supreme Court in Springfield. Nate Swerdlove was doing the divorce work. And he asked me for help a couple of times. When Stavens left, he had two divorce cases that were hot. They were tough cases. So he felt that it wasn't fair that Nate handled both of them. So I handled one, he handled one. And every once in a while, I'd go to court for Nate. I was more of the courtroom lawyer in the office. We got involved with a lawyer named Jerome Berkson, and he was one of the top divorce lawyers in Chicago. Very aggressive lawyer. And I started doing his appeals, and he got sick. So Nate and I started to think, well, how are we going to handle this? So we agreed that Nate would take the existing cases, and I would take the new cases. And so I started to do divorce work on a much bigger scale than I had hardly done any at the time. So the divorce situation started to really take off. And Berkson came back to work. Nate was working with Berkson. I had my own book of business, and it just kept going. Nate came to me one day, and he said to me, we have to hire Sidney London's son. Sidney London was Nate's best friend. We have to hire Howard London. He's just out of law school at the American University in Washington, D.C. And he's a really smart kid, and we got to hire him. In 1982, Alvin Becker had become a partner of ours, and he and Howard were doing all of the appellate work. Somewhere along the line, we hired as a partner Pamela Huddle, and she was a well-known divorce lawyer, and somewhere after that, and it's probably about 10 years after that, she left the firm. And in the meantime, we had made a partnership with James Quigley. Quigley and I sat down one day, and he was doing real well. I was happy that he had become a partner. I had a case with him, and when Howard came to me, and I said, listen, this kid is really good. Let's hire him. And we did. And then after some years, Quigley came to me and said, Pam left, we've got to replace her. So I said, what about your old boss, Rico Mirabelli? And that's how we then merged. But in the meantime, we had brought in John D'Arco, who was at the Lake Tobac firm. And so now we had myself, Nate, D'Arco, Quigley, Mirabelli, Pritikin, and London. That's how the firm kept expanding and expanding. And we really were starting to get out of all of the other fields. I had a very important role in how we were handling the cases. And I think it stemmed from the way that I wanted to see the firm operate. There were a lot of aggressive lawyers in the divorce field, not in our firm. We tried to be even-handed with everybody. We tried to treat our clients the way they deserve to be treated. But I thought that the quality of life of both everybody working in the office and every one of our clients was really important. And I think it was an offshoot of this quality of life idea that I had in my mind all those years. And I think it paid off. I think we've got a reputation that everybody knows. We don't take advantage of anybody. We're very respectful of the court. And I think that the judges know it, the clients know it, and our opposition knows it. And so I think that's where the reputation came from. Let's say we have a trial date, and I'll write on my pad, trial date with the date, and then I'll write, keep your eye on the prize. An older lawyer taught me that years ago. There's a goal. And in family law, the goal is to get the case over with. Don't let people suffer. Don't let their children suffer. That's what you've got to do. You know, that's how I've handled myself all these years. And people know it. So I think I get a lot of accolades, and it's always been easy for me. You just do the right thing.